Welcome everybody to EMSL Summer School 2022. We're really excited to have everyone here. I'm going to go ahead and start by handing things over to Montana for her introductions.
Thanks, Darren. So first I just want to quick mention that we are leveraging Discord for our communications, questions, interaction with other attendees, as well as separate interactions for our accepted students. And so if you don't have that link, or if you haven't accessed the Discord before, please let us know. It's going to be the best place to get questions answered and communicate. So welcome to the first day of EMSL Summer School. We're really excited to have everybody here. And Darian and I will kick us off with some time just talking about the EMSL Summer School agenda, some logistics, we'll introduce the instructors that will be and plenary speakers that will be speaking on each day to kind of give you a sense of what's going on and who's going to be here. So I'm Montana Smith. I am a data scientist at EMSL at Pacific Northwest National Lab. My background is primarily in soil microbiology, and more recently I've transitioned more into sample metadata management, collection, and development. If you've ever been an EMSL user, if you've been an EMSL user this year, you've probably interacted with me a bit on sample metadata and sample management. And so Darian, I'll pass it back to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone, if you're joining us from Pacific time. I'm Darian Smersina. I'm a Pauling postdoc fellow here at PNL. My background is in soil microbial ecology, so I study how soil microbes relate to biogeochemical cycling. Along with being a organizational lead here, I'm just excited to be able to attend EMSL Summer School because I'm really interested in metagenomics and natural organic matter. We have some really great talks this week, so looking forward to spending the week with everybody and chatting with everyone on Discord, as well as working our way through all of this awesome information. So pass it back to Montana to get us started.
Thanks, Darian. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide. So as I said, we're going to kind of go through the agenda with you a bit today, to tell you who you'll be hearing from, as well as giving a bit of a sneak peek into the student-only sessions. And so if next year, if you're interested, or if you didn't hear about our student-only sessions, please keep an eye on the EMSL website and, let us know, and we'll make sure that next year you get a chance to hear about it and apply. So our first day with this morning open public session, we'll be focusing on getting everyone oriented. And so this will cover general introductions, as I said. So we'll start off with Darian and myself, and then we'll be followed by John Bargar, who is here at Pacific Northwest National Lab, and he'll be talking about the Molecular Observation Network Project, or MONET. He'll be followed by Emily Alo-Fedroche, and she's going to introduce the National Microbiome Data Collaborative, or the NMDC, and what that is and what it's all about. We'll then have a short 15-minute break for everybody to refill or get coffee and stretch their legs. And then when we come back from our break, Chris Shaw and Spencer Roth will kick us off with a tag team talk about the spruce and peatland responses under changing environments, and the research site and the work that they've done there. And then I will close out our public morning session with a talk about how NMDC is handling metadata and metadata standards. And then that will be the end of the public portion. So next slide, Darian. And then we will move into the afternoon, which will be our student-only session. So mornings from 8 a.m. to noon are going to be public, and then we'll have a lunch break, and then students, you will return for the afternoon from 1 to 4. And so for day one, when we return, we'll do a quick 15-minute presentation from myself, and then a 15-minute from Pajau on the NMDC data portal and its community-centered design, and then about the sample submission portal. And that's what we will be leveraging for our metadata generation activity in the afternoon. So we'll learn how to submit metadata to the NMDC and complete it in a way that adheres to MICS standards, which is a pretty widely leveraged method of metadata collection for biosamples. And then we will have a data scavenger hunt. So we'll learn how to use the NMDC data portal and how to find data on the portal and what's available. And as I said, we'll adjourn at 4 o'clock, and we will return again the next day at 8:30 again. And as a quick summary for next slide, thanks, Darian. So day one, the primary goal is to understand the background and goal of EMSL Summer School and who's here and the importance of metadata and how to use the NMDC. And we'll accomplish this using, as I mentioned, Chris Schott will be presenting on the Spruce project. We will be using the Spruce data for our activities within the NMDC data portal, as well as throughout the rest of the week. And everybody should have a good understanding of those importances. And so I will pass it over to Darian to talk to about day 2, which again will start at 8:30 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, so moving into day 2 tomorrow is all about metagenomes. So at 8:30, we're going to start with a plenary from Marie Krieger at Los Alamos. So we'll hear about soil metagenomics and whole community characterization. That'll be followed up by an introduction to environmental metagenomics by Bill Nelson here at PNNL. And after a brief break, we'll hear again from Bill about functional annotation of metagenomic sequence data. We'll then learn about the NMDC standardized workflows and metagenomic pipelines from Karen Davenport at Los Alamos, which will bring us to the end of our public portion for day 2. Then moving into our student-only sessions, getting into our hands-on stuff. We'll start with a discussion from Karen about NMDC Edge metagenomics pipeline, and then move into breakout sessions where students will get to work hands-on with metagenomics data and try out the different metagenomics workflows, followed by a discussion with the whole group about what those results look like, which will bring us to the end of day 2. As a brief summary, the goals of day 2 are to really understand the workflows for processing metagenomic data and learn the data structures for metagenome assembly, gene calls, and annotation. Ultimately, the goal being that by the end of day 2, participants will be able to process their own data based on what they learned here. So to do this, students will receive valuable information about how to use metagenomics data and the value of metagenomics data. They'll learn how to leverage standardized metagenomics workflows through hands-on activities using NMDC Edge, and ultimately understand how the outcomes of different metagenomic workflows will be applied to their own data sets. So then moving into day 3. Day 3 on Wednesday is all about natural organic matter. So we'll start with a plenary from Renee Boteau at Oregon State and at PNNL, where we'll learn about soil organic matter and how to use that data. After a brief break, then we'll hear from Will Q at EMSL about natural organic matter characterization using ultra high res mass spec. And then we'll hear from Yuri Korolo about data processing workflows for natural organic matter and metabolomics. That will then bring us to the end of our day 3 public session. So then moving into our student-only session, we'll start off with a demonstration from Will and Yuri of how to use Core MS. After a brief break, students will then carry out hands-on activities, learning about FTICR and LCMS, as well as doing data analysis and data integration. Ultimately, our goals for day 3 are to help students understand the instrumentation for collecting natural organic matter data, including the strengths and limitations of those different instrument options, and to understand data structures and assignment of molecular formula to spectra. Again, the main goal being for participants to be able to process their own data after this instruction. And so students will receive info about the value and use of mass spec data for natural organic matter characterization. They'll learn how to leverage FTICR and LCMS workflows with hands-on activities using Core MS, and we'll learn how to appropriately apply these different workflows to their own data. Moving into day 4 on Thursday, we start to bring together these data sets with statistics and visualization. So we're going to start with a plenary from Susanna Tringe at Lawrence Berkeley about microbial drivers of methane emissions. And then that'll be followed by another talk from Ronan Wu here at PNNL about viral metagenomes and how to interpret that data with caution. After a brief break, we'll move into some instructor sessions where Daniel Claiborne and Natalie Winans will talk about analyzing Fourier transform mass spec data with Frida, followed by a discussion of FTMS differential abundance statistics from David Degnan and Damon Leach, also here at PNNL. And then that will finish up our public session for day 4, as well as conclude the public session for EMSL Summer School. Moving forward, we are focused on breakout sessions for students only. So moving into our closed student session on day 4, students will start off by splitting into sessions and getting different hands-on experience with Frida and FTMS R analysis led by David, as well as learn about multivariate and pathway analysis for metagenomics led by Bob Danzig here at PNNL. And day 4 will conclude with a talk from Ryan McClure about multi-omic integration analysis of metabolomics and metagenomic data. The goals really of day 4 are to help participants learn how to do cross-sample comparison and multi-omic analysis, including things like differential abundance analysis, ordination plots, multivariate analysis, Van Crevelen diagrams, and how to infer biochemical transformations. Students will learn the value of leveraging metagenomic and natural organic matter data to answer scientific questions, learn how to appropriately visualize and apply statistical analysis to metagenomic data through hands-on activities, as well as learn how to appropriately visualize and apply statistical analysis to natural organic matter data using hands-on activities. So moving into our day 5, which again, as I said, is a fully closed session for our students. This day is focused on helping students develop experimental designs, as well as outline proposals that are compatible with things like EMSL's user proposal calls. So we'll start the day with a talk from Mary Lipton about how to write successful proposals, followed by a talk from Maggie Bowman about how to design successful experiments. After a brief break, we're then going to open up for students to talk to topic experts. So we're going to provide students with a guided outline to help them develop experimental designs and proposals, and provide opportunity for them to talk to different experts that we heard from during the week about various topics, answer questions about their own data, as well as questions they might have had throughout the rest of summer school. We'll then do a brief progress check-in in the main room before we take a break. And then we'll head back out into breakout sessions so students can talk with peers about their experimental design and get some feedback, as well as just network a little bit once we get towards the end of the week. We'll finish up here with some closing remarks from John Barker at EMSL, and we'll wrap up EMSL Summer School. Day 5 goals are really to help our students learn to develop successful experimental designs that are compatible with EMSL user proposals, as well as other proposal calls. They'll receive valuable information about how to write successful proposals and how to design successful experiments, using a guided outline of questions to help them develop different aspects of their experimental design and learn how to make resource requests. Through access to breakout rooms, students can talk directly to topic experts from earlier in the week, as well as receive feedback from their peers and day leads on their proposal plan. So with that, I'm going to pass things back over to Montana for some guidelines and logistics.
Thanks, Darian. Yeah, so that was, a quick summary of our agenda. If you have any questions about that, again, I want to encourage you to head over to the Discord channel, post your questions there and reach out if you have any problems. I also want to quick mention, because we've had a few questions this morning, the student-only session applications opened, I think in the fall and closed in the spring. So it is an applied for session that we accepted, went through applications, accepted students to. And so, if you're interested in joining in upcoming years, I just want to encourage everyone to watch the EMSL website for those. So moving into some logistical information, especially for the students, the data we're using is currently publicly findable via the NMDC. And you should have received a document prior to this week with information about downloading some data and accessing their natural organic matter data files that you'll be working with in day 3. And While the data is publicly findable on the NMDC, where you will go to actually download it is going to be search.emsl.pnnl.gov. And for everyone in the public sessions, this is accessible to anyone. If you want to find some data that has been generated at EMSL, you can use this portal to see what's publicly available. But for right now, what I'm specifically showing and what the students were shared with was how to access the natural organic matter data. So when you use the search.emsl.pnnl.gov, currently you can search by either a specific project or locate data that's associated with it, and currently filtering based on like bibliographic information. So the PI's name, the date range, keywords within an abstract, or instruments that generated data for a project. And so here you can see that I've searched for project 49279, and there's over 4,000 open access data sets available for this project. And that's again, the one that we'll be using with our students. Next slide. As you drill down and as you're searching within the EMSL Data Portal, you'll be able to locate data files to download. You'll see that there's a download files button right there. Next slide. And this site will leverage the EMSL Nexus system to download the data, and you'll be prompted to log in. And once you've logged in and you've identified the files you want, they can be added to your cart and you can download them. And so again, students, if you had any problems with this from the document that you received, let us know, and we can work through that with you. And for everyone on the public portion, if you didn't know EMSL had a data search site, now you do. Next slide. So as I mentioned, when I started talking about this logistical information, the data files associated with this project that we'll be using for EMSL Summer School are also findable on the NMDC data portal, as well as the standardized processing data products. And so NMDC offers the ability to run your data through our standardized workflows. Everything you know has been analyzed the same way. Our students will hear more about the data portal portion specifically from Pajau in the afternoon session. And then we will also in general hear a lot more about the NMDC from Emily here very soon. So briefly, this is just kind of a place where you can leverage various metadata fields like location or sampling date or environmental ontologies like the ENVO triad to locate data that might be of interest for your research. All right, next slide, and I'll pass it back to Darian.
Yeah, thanks, Montana. So just finishing up here, very broad scale guidelines. Zoom will be the center of all of our public webinar portions, as well as all of the student breakouts. The public link you should have received when you registered online. Students, you should have also received a separate breakout session link. Reach out to us if you did not receive that. Also, we're gonna keep all of our chatter on Discord. So we're working on some icebreaker questions and some opportunities to just meet people and discuss happening over in the Discord lobby. There's also going to be day-specific channels that you should find that you can post questions to as we go through our public talks. If you have questions for the plenaries or for the instructors, feel free to post those there, and they'll be online chatting. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Montana and I, and we can, help try to coordinate or, post on Discord, and we'll work from there. For the time being, that sort of concludes our orientation. We really strongly encourage everybody to head over to Discord for a brief break here before we move into our first plenary session. There should be some questions or a question posted in our lobby. You can get in and kind of introduce yourself, send us a picture, tell us where you're joining from. If you have any fur babies that are hanging out with you while you're attending webinar, please post pictures. We love to see them. So we will be back here at 9:15 for our first plenary. And in the meantime, hope to see you all in Discord.